may go up to 5 minutes. If there's a couple involved, if there's a husband and a wife, it may go about 5 minutes because you want to give both of them an opportunity to speak. Okay? Please, ladies, if you are talking to a couple and there's a husband and a wife, lean more on the wife, not the husband. This is just psychological move here. Men, if you're talking to a couple, lean more on the man and not the wife. We are in the people business. People don't understand us as a business person yet. They may take things a little too personal. So know your ground, know where you stand, right? That's why we always say, if there's a couple involved, they're married, you don't get on a Zoom call with the husband unless he or she has told you, I handle everything. My wife is supportive, she's good, she supports what I do. Or my husband, he's totally in line with what I'm doing. He even told me to do this appointment on my own, or I make all these financial decisions. Okay, no problem. That's great. If it has been disclosed up front, you're good. But you don't get in front of a married couple and start leaning more on the same sex as you are, or the opposite sex rather. You lean on the opposite. You lean on the same sex as you are, so that way there's no issues, right? We don't want to be biased. So you start the presentation. So after you form and you build a rapport with people, you let them know who you are quickly and what do you do and what your passion is, and you hear about them. So just don't ask any kind of question, guys. Make it a conversation. So that's the form. Get good at forming. Get very good at forming. All right? Now, when you form into the new rules of money, you want to let them know that, hey, you know what we're going to do? I want to show you something called the new rules of money. And the new rules of money is here. It implies that there was an old way of money, an old rule of money. I let them know, hey, if there's a new rules of money, this implies that there was an old way of money, old rules of money, rather. What were the old rules of money? Trading your time for money. The average American putting their money in the bank. That's the old way of doing money. That's the old rule of doing money. Trading your time for money, putting your money in the bank. The new rule of money is learning what the wealthy are doing. Taking different strategies that the wealthy are doing and applying them to the way we do money and the way we do business. So you have to make it known there was an old way of doing things and now there's a new way of doing things. Does that make sense, guys? And the old way is not working. We're in a new industry, a new time. So that was a new rules of money. I implied there was an old way of making money. Yeah. And you tell them it was trading your time for money. It was putting your money in the bank. That's the old way of doing things. Putting your money in the bank and getting less than 1%. And you ask them, say, hey, Mr. Client, how much interest do you think that the average, checking bank out there gives us on a checking or savings account? How much interest do you think that the average bank, Bank of America, Chase, Wells Fargo, how much interest do you think they're going to give us on an average checking or savings account? Ask them that question. This new rules of money is an interactive presentation, not a presentation where you're just skimming and you're reading the whole thing. If you're doing all the talking, that's a bad way to start. You want to interact with your other person who you're talking to. Let them talk. People love to talk. So ask them. And they'll say, hey, I don't know, 1%, 2%, hey, you know what? Actually, it's less than 1%. The banks are giving on an average less than 1% of checking or savings account. If they weren't educated, they'll go, wow, whoa, right? You blew their mind. If you're a financial educator, you better bring the education. And what you're learning, guys, you want to throw out little nuggets into their face that makes them go, wow, oh my God, that's crazy. I had a guy tell me the other day, we get about 3%. I said, listen, James, I said, tell me where you're banking at. He started laughing. I said, man, if you get 3%, I want to know what account that is. I said, you might get lucky and get 3%. You might even get a 1% now in a CD nowadays. I bring a little bit of humor into my presentation, guys. You don't have to always be so serious and stuck up and like stiff. Open it up. Unfold your hands. Use your hands. Your hands are your presenters. They should see the upper part of your body. You look at my camera for a second, guys. Please look at my camera. You should not be doing a Zoom call like this. I've seen this happen before. You're doing a Zoom call with the client like this. where technically...
Go down to half of your head and show some people do. Go down to half. Yeah, we see that. I
mean, seriously? I guarantee you, if you got called in from your job in a higher upper management situation or a big major phone Zoom call, you'd be having half of your body shown. Oh, by the way, one other rule. I'm in my bedroom. Don't have the bed. Don't put the bed as your background. If you don't have a big house or a big apartment or condo, try to find a closet to go in. Do not go in the bathroom in front of a shower curtain. Please. Y'all laugh, but I'll say it all. Do not go in the bathroom in front of a shower curtain. Go outside. Go somewhere where there's a good background. Or do the blur. Zoom has a blur background. But you want to make sure that when you present this presentation, you are the master at the finance. Dress up, look decent. Listen, if you're not going anywhere, throw on a little suit. Half of the time Rory's at home, he has a suit tie and he has on some pajama pants. They don't know what you got on from the
Why you tell everybody that?
I'm just saying, look professional. I mean, don't wear sweatsuits. Don't have on a sweater. They're not going to respect you with a sweater on. And guess what? If you're training a trainer and they're edifying you, oh, you better look your part. You better look your part. And write this down. Every trainee that gets you in front of a client for a field training appointment needs to learn how to edify you. They must edify you, Carol. Hey, Tanya, I'm so happy that you're here. This is Carol. She is my business partner, and I've been learning so much from her. She's one of the top producers in our organization. This woman has been helping so many families. She knows so much. I mean, I'm so excited you're here to meet her. I'm really excited you're here to meet her. Carol, take the floor, Carol. You learn to edify your trainer. So not only that you learn how to edify your trainer, guys, on this call, but teach your trainees how to edify you. It shouldn't be a situation where you get on a Zoom call and then your new trainee goes, okay. Oh, as a matter of fact, they don't say anything. So you're on a Zoom call, you're like, birds chirping. Okay, so. And if you didn't tell them to edify you, it's awkward to say, okay, Kelsey, can you introduce me? That's kind of awkward, right? I should have texted her and told her or called her before and said, hey, make sure when we get on that you introduce me, make my job more easier. Because I want to look the part. If I'm in the presentation, I got to look the part and introduce me so I look the part, right? I dress up nice, I look good, I have a nice background. I'm here and ready to provide this service to my client, or this potential client. All right, so new rules of money, slide 1. And it probably was the old way of doing money, right? The old way of doing money is not going to work. Listen, you know what? We got to say money is a problem. Now, here's what I have to say. We don't have a money problem in America. We have a financial literacy problem in America. For everyone in America, we all going to deal with some type of debt or taxes or inflation or savings, right? So when it comes down to debt, the average household has credit card debt up to their ears, over $6,000 in credit card debt. The average kid comes out of college with over $6,000 in student loans. Oh, yeah, they're like, oh, yeah. And I say, hey, if you're a doctor or a lawyer, it may be about $250,000 or $100,000 in student loans just from that career. And then we have people who own a mortgage. I asked the client, hey, Mrs. Client, do you own a house? Oh, I own a house. Okay, great. Well, you see here, the average mortgage or average family that has a mortgage, their debt was over $160,000. You see the word mortgage? I'll tell you, I'm going to steal Rory's line. You see the word mortgage? What comes to your mind when you see the word mortgage? The word mortgage. So when you buy a house, you get a 30-year, 35-year contract. By the time you're done paying for the house, you head up for the mortgage. All right? They start laughing. Debt is a way of life. Taxes. The average American working every year, every month, every year, paying taxes every year. And guess what? They're paying more money on tax now than they are on household supplies of food and clothing. Mrs. Client, are you aware what inflation is? What is inflation to you? Oh, prices going up. Okay, yeah, right. Prices going up, food going up. Inflation is when the government prints more money than they can account for. So when the pandemic hit in COVID, the government printed several billions of dollars. we're now in a high inflation. Are you aware what the inflation rate is in America right now? They probably have no idea, but it's 9.2%. That's right, 9.2%. And then we have an issue with saving. So the average American household can barely even afford a $14,000 of savings a year. That's less than $1,000 a month, guys. All right? So we're active spenders, but passive savers. We're active spenders, but passive savers. So you gotta read this slide. I'm not doing too much on it. But I will tell you this, get very good at elaborating. You're not going to just sit here and read this slide. The average household has credit card balances totaling $5,944. That sounds super boring right now. And you will lose them on the first slide. Have high energy, have excitement, and you carry this presentation to the T. Okay, we also have a problem when we come out of life insurance. The average family is not, they're not knowledgeable of how life insurance works, or they don't have life insurance. Mrs. Client, when you hear the word life insurance, what comes to your mind? Oh, maybe I hear, about, when someone died, right? Someone died, you get paid a benefit. Okay, that's right, yeah. So, if you die tomorrow, do your family have a plan in place for you? I found out here, do you actually have life insurance on yourself right here? Right? There are different types of life insurance. Life insurance is a transfer of wealth. But if you die, you might need burial insurance. That's to bury you. So it's called final expense. I might want to just diversify the two here. Final expense is to bury you, and life insurance is to transfer wealth. So we design a lot of different ways that families can have life insurance and to transfer wealth. Have you ever heard of long-term care? Yeah, I've heard of long-term care. Yeah, if you had a physical, chronic or critical illness, most people who don't have long-term care, right? So more elder people need long-term care, but there's more young people on long-term care than older people. So long-term care means I have to go into a nursing facility, right? Or I have to have a nurse aide come to my house. Perhaps I need to take care of certain bills for those purposes, and my insurance doesn't cover that. So long-term care is very, very popular out there. We find that most clients, they end up having to sell their assets just to take care of long-term care. For a senior, it could cost an individual senior $250,000 a year for long-term care expenses. If you're a senior couple, it could be well over $500,000 a year just for long-term care expenses. And then also to retirement. Most people, Mrs. Client, have no clue how their retirement plans work. So we're going to discuss these things as we move forward into our presentation. But you know what? It's time to take control, right? Here are a few things that we can teach our clients that you can do now. First, you got to learn how to pay yourself first. The average person has the habit of paying every bill first before they pay themselves. And that's a very bad habit. See how I'm elaborating? I'm not just saying pay yourself first. Pay yourself and your family before any other obligations that you have. I'm not doing that. I'm elaborating. Okay? You can still learn a presentation, but get good at elaborating. And listen, Mrs. Client, you should earn additional income. The average American has 2 jobs, while the average millionaire has about 6 streams of income. So we want to speed up the process and make sure that you're successful and maybe considering a part-time income. Mrs. Client, do you keep your options open? As a matter of fact, Mrs. Client, do you have any other sources of income? Like, do you have more than one? Or, I'm working here at Walmart, and then I'm working on the part-time over here at the bank. Oh, okay, cool. Do you see yourself retiring or at the bank? No, I don't want to retire here or bank or Walmart. Okay, well, I may have an opportunity for you. You kind of throw it out there. At one point, I might want to bop her, right? Because I'm just going to pique her interest. Do she have any other extra streams of income? That's important for me to know, okay? And then adjusting your lifestyle. You should definitely know the difference between what you want and what you need. This is what I say. Listen, my clients come to me, they have a champagne table with a beer budget. And they're like, yeah, because it's true. So you need to learn how to differentiate the difference between what you want and what you need and budget yourself accordingly. Let's avoid that credit trap, get rid of those credit cards, and of course, let's change the paradigm way of thinking. Listen, Mrs. Client, before we leave today, I want you to change your way of thinking in the finance. I want to shift your paradigm, a way of thinking about finances. That's my objective here today. All right? So there are 6 steps to financial security. All right, 6 steps. Because the steps begin with financial education. We are all about education. So financially, first, you should increase your cash flow. Yeah, you should have more than one stream of income. You mentioned to me on the last slide, you said you don't have any other streams of income. So the next time we get together, I would love to show you what I do. Put it in there, buzzing the words. I might want to bop her, right? So we also teach you how to, manage your debt. Credit card debt. We want to look at diminishing your debt, consolidating perhaps. We have a phenomenal debt roll-up plan where we show our clients how to get rid of their debt, and even having an emergency fund. So when you get to here, an emergency fund, you want to bring a rule in here. This is a finance rule. Write this down. Mrs. Client, have you ever heard of the 10-20 rule? Have you ever heard of the 10-20 rule? Oh, no, I've never heard of it. Or, yeah, I've heard of it. Okay, well, let me elaborate a little bit. Because, back in the day, it used to be that you needed to have at least 3 to 6 times your monthly income for emergencies. But nowadays, with inflation, with taxes going up so high, we should have at least 6 to 10, I would say 6 to 10, so at least 10 times our monthly income saved up for emergencies. That means, Mrs. Klein, if I'm making $1,000 a month on my job, I should have at least $10,000 saved up for emergencies. Whether it's in the bank or on my mattress, that's my emergency fund. The 20 represents 20 times my annual income to retire. 20 times my annual income to retire, Mrs. Client. Now, let me ask you a question. What is your average annual income on an annual basis? What's your income? Oh, $6,000, $50,000, or $100,000. Okay, great. So let me give you what I like to call your retirement number. This is sort of like what Keon did with the FIN number. Let me give you your retirement number, because right here, I wanted to start thinking. Here again, my objective is to change the paradigm thinking. So I want to get her thinking. I want to plug it in. I want to pierce the soul with my education. So, Mrs. Client, if you're making $100,000 a year on your job, let's just take that times 20 years, right? So in 10 years, $1 million, in 20 years, $2 million. So that means that you should have at least $2 million set aside to retire. Or actually $2.2 million, or 20 years, yeah. So you should have at least $2 million or so to retire. So if you were not to go back to work again for 20 years, you should have at least $2 million to retire. They're like, oh, whoa, I don't have that. So I'm not saying you have to have it all at one time, Mrs. Client, but I'm just letting you know. But I know it might sound scary, but that's the reality, right? So that means that we got to start a plan in place. Most people, they don't plan to fail, but they fail to have a plan. So I'm going to show you a plan as we go further. You should also have the right protection, proper protection for you and your family, And how do we do that? We look at, client potential debts, all their income in 10 years. We look at their mortgage, what they have left on their house, or their education. On the right-hand side, there's like little squares there. We call it the dime method, the dime analysis. I take all your debts, your income in 10 years, your mortgage, and your education, and I add all those numbers up. And the number might scare you, but technically, that is a number that you should be protected for. So you're giving them tips and tools in their brain, but they're thinking now. And I encourage my client, hey, take notes. I encourage you to take plenty of notes, right? If they're taking notes, they're not writing it down, it's going to start going in their mind when they can remember what they wrote down. So they can retain it better, right? So, we want to make sure we have the right protection. And then we want to make sure we learn how to build wealth and preserve our wealth. When I say build wealth and preserve our wealth, Mrs. Client, do you actually have estate planning? Do you have a will or a trust or anything like that? Oh, I don't have that. Okay. Well, that is one of the things we should talk about. I'll make a note of that, Mrs. Client. Because, you got to make sure you have a will or a trust. Most of the time, we come into people in our families, they don't have a will or a trust. And so we educate them on how to have those things to protect their assets. All right? So I covered these 6 financial security, and I'm learning about them, right? I already learned. So far, if you guys know that you've been paying attention, so far, I've kind of already learned a little bit about that person. I'm getting what's called the mental FNA. Write that down, mental FNA. I know that he's married, he has 2 kids. I know how old he is. I know that he's definitely open to make more money on a part-time basis. He has one source of income. I know how much money he makes a year. I'm already learned a little bit about what he got so far. I even know if he has life insurance because I asked him already. I'm getting a mental F&A on the spot. And listen, if you're doing a Zoom call and you're not taking notes, you're not doing the business right. You're not doing the business right. Because a business person will sit down and they will take notes. They will sit down and I'll tell my client, okay, I'm writing a few notes down. I want them to see me writing it down. If they see me writing down what they're telling me, that means that they know I'm taking this very seriously. I'm making a point to write down the notes that they're telling me. So I'm writing it down because that's my intel. I'm getting and collecting intel, guys. Get very good at collecting intel. The intel of the client. So not everything, but what I asked so far, or what they chose to disclose to me, I wrote it down. I got it written down already. Notepad already written down on my pad. Okay, let's keep going here. Because, we teach people how to conquer their financial future. And here are some of the things that we teach. We educate families on the Rule of 72. This is one of the financial rules you're going to learn here coming up in just a few minutes here. It's a basic principle on how money doubles over time. Very powerful tool. We'll also teach you about the power of indexing contracts. Imagine being able to participate in the success of the market with a zero loss. Read the slides. They're going to go, what? Really? Yeah. I'll educate you more about that coming up in just a few minutes. I'm holding them off because they're getting excited, but I'm holding them off. It's coming. Also, accelerated living benefits. Are you aware what that is? No. Well, it's similar to long-term care. We just talked about it a few slides ago, but it's basically just having life insurance that you don't have to die to use, or use to die rather. Right? So you educate them. Then hey, you know what? There's also what's called the wealth flow formula. Okay? And on the right-hand side, it's right here. It basically shows us a theory of decreasing responsibilities and versus the law of building equity. So as we go further, I'm going to go into that in just a few minutes here. But Mrs. Client, let's touch on the Rule of 72. Okay? I love this rule. I love it. You never heard the rule before? No, I never heard of it. Okay, no problem. Well, the Rule of 72, now have you ever heard of compounding interest? I want to school them here. This is where we're in the middle of the presentation, and I want to get very interactive. Because if I can get her talking and get her going and go, ooh, ah, oh, whoa, I got it where I want her. A good presenter knows, they know the points, the pressure points, right? They know the pressure points. They know the point they're going to put out there to get that client to go, ooh, ah. And when they start doing that, you got it where you want. So the Rule 72, also compounding interest. Compounding interest is just interest on top of interest, and it was created by Albert Einstein. Albert Einstein created the Rule 72. And all banking institutions use this rule. All financial institutions use this rule. Car dealers use this rule. Very powerful. And you simply take the number 72 and you divide it into any interest rate. And that will tell you the number of years it would take for your money to double. And say that very slow, guys. And you can say it again. Here again. You take the number 72 and you divide it to any interest rate, and that'll tell you the number of years it would take to double your money. Let's say, for example, Mrs. Client, you were getting 2%, right? And they say, either a tax deferred or an account. And you would take 72 and divide that into 2%. That means my money would double every 36 years, correct? Okay, so if this person had $10,000 in 36 years, that $10,000 doubles to $20,000. Move on. Let's say we have 4% return, right? So 72 divided into 4%. How many? Now, I want to see if they're paying attention. How many years, Mrs. Client, would it take for that money to double if I was getting 4% return? And I pause and wait. And let them answer.
13 years?
Well, very close, Rory. Almost close, but 18 years. I don't want to say, well, that was wrong.
How do I get that?
Well, that's a good question, Rory. I'll tell you in a few minutes. He interrupted me by asking a question that I'm not ready to answer yet. Don't let anyone interrupt your presentation. Now, if they mention, if they start talking about what they have, that's fine. But they ask you a question outside of your slide that you're not ready to answer, that's a great question. I'll answer that in a few minutes. You hold them off until you're ready to answer the question. Because you want to present your presentation and get out the way first. Okay, Rory. So listen. So 72 divided into 4% is how many years to double? You said 13. Well, not almost there, Rory, but 18 years. See? That same $10,000, it compounds every 18 years, Rory. From 10,000 to 20 to 40,000 by age 65. Rory,
I get it.
Okay, Rory, let's say we're getting 8% return. So 72 divided into 8% equals 9. That means my money doubles every 9 years, right?
Right.
That same $10,000 compounds and doubles every 9 years. It goes to $160,000 by age 65. This is the power of compounding interest. So very, very powerful tool. Now, Roy, I want to talk about the power of indexing contracts. Now, have you ever heard of the S&P 500?
Never heard of it.
Okay, that's okay. The S&P 500 are the top 500 American companies, right? Like BMW, Mercedes, Walmart, Best Buy. These are the top 500 American corporations. They all make up what's called the S&P 500. It's an index. Very powerful, okay? Now, basically, this screen here shows $100,000 is being invested in 97. But I want to show you something here because the power of this is that there's unsecured accounts and also what we call secured accounts. There's unsecured accounts and there's also secured accounts. Unsecured accounts are like our 401ks, our retirement plans, our 403bs. And we show clients how to go from an unsecured account to a secured account. Secured account or indexing the contracts. You follow me? Indexing contracts, okay? So basically, as the market goes up, I get the gains. If the market were to go down, I don't lose. That is an indexing contract. As the market goes up, I can participate in the gains. If the market were to go down, I don't lose. You keep this very simple, all right? Everyone's going to have their own little method about the red line, the blue line, but try to keep it very simple, something that they can easily can understand. Unsecured account versus secured accounts. Have you ever heard of S&P 500? Your whole idea is to let them know that indexing is a new way of doing business, the new way of making money. It's indexing, guys, right? So indexing brings together the best of both worlds, right? That's super important. So we're bringing the best of both worlds. We're just making a stick here. That $100,000 that I invested, we know from 97 up, that was years ago. But in reality, there's an unsecured account out there and there's a secured account. And we want our clients to lean more on the secured account, which is indexing contracts. Super, super easy. Just kind of swim through it because your main objective is you're putting buzzwords in their ear. When you mention the 401k or retirement plan, then you may even ask, hey, do you actually have a retirement plan? Oh, yeah, I have a 401k. Okay, you do. This is where they can probably, if they're open up to tell you, they'll talk about it, right? I had a client the other day. I ran through this funnel and he said, oh, wait, Andrew, I actually have a TSP. I said, you do? He goes, yeah, I've had it, actually for several years, just sitting there. I've been out of the Army for a while. I said, oh, okay. When he did that, I triggered an alert in my brain and go, let me educate him about the 3 ways he can control his own retirement. So you don't have to throw it in right here, but just know what you guys know so far, you have enough information to give out information to the client. But don't overdo it because you want to get through your presentation. If they bring up the TSP or the retirement plan, that's great. You can nail on that really quickly. But let's get through this here. Because basically, everything that I'm talking about on the indexing contracts, it just seal it in that we're going from unsecured to secured, and indexing contract is the way to go. Your gains are locked in no matter what. Okay, so Mrs. Client, there are 3 types of retirement income. You have what's called tax now, you have tax deferred, and you have tax free. Okay, so let me ask you a question. Where do you think most people keep their money? I asked them. I want to interact with them again. They're going to say, well, probably, tax now. Okay, that's great. Yeah, that's correct. You see where it says banks under tax now? Most people keep their money in the bank, right? So in tax now, you have banks, mutual fund, stocks, and then in tax deferred, you have your 401k, your traditional IRAs, your 403b. These are accounts that have not paid taxes yet. Okay, and then you have what's called tax-free, your life insurance, your Roth IRA. But here again, you pay taxes already on the tax now, and you have paid tax on the tax deferred, and then you want to go on what we call tax-free. So we showed the average, American how to go from tax now to tax free. And the wealthy are in the tax-free vehicles, life insurance. And guess what? Whenever you deal with life insurance, it's not reported to FAFSA. When you have kids, you have kids? You have kids, okay, great. Well, most families have what's called a 529 savings, college savings plan. If they have a tax-free life insurance policy, it's not reported to FAFSA. All right, but I'm just keeping it clear that, hey, 3 types of taxes, tax now, tax deferred, tax free, and just kind of running through this is all just educating the client here again, opening their minds up. Right? They're gonna start spinning, asking questions in their brain, writing things down here again. Right? Let's go into accelerated living benefits. Because I mentioned to you earlier before, you should have a plan in place if anything would have happened to you medically, right? So usually when someone gets sick, they have a heart attack, a cancer, a stroke, they may not have the proper means to pay for those expenses, right? And so guess what? The health insurance doesn't cover those costs. I tell them, they don't cover the cost. And guess what? If you have Medicare, it will only cover you up to the first 100 days. So most of the people that we come across, Mrs. Client, they're going to have to sell their house, sell their assets, because they can't afford these expenses. So we tell everyone you should have some type of living benefits. If you want to get chronically ill or critically ill or have a terminal illness, you should be able to get compensated for that. And there are plans in place that I can show you how we can help families who need living benefits. Just putting a buzz in her ear, making it known, right? It's basically life insurance that you don't have to have or don't have to die to use, right? Because, usually when it comes down to these medical costs, like I said earlier, just for a senior, it could be $250,000 a year. And just for a senior couple, it could be $500,000 a year. There are more people, young people on long-term care and living benefit than older people. So just to be educating you about how this works, and it's important that, let me ask you a question. Do you actually have long-term care or living benefit? Do you have it? They already told me they had life insurance, so I want to know now, hey, do you actually have any type of benefit? Well, I think I do. They're going to say, I think I have it on my job, or I have it on this other plan over here. Okay, well, you should definitely look into it. Give them some homework to do. Here's your homework. Look to see what you have. Because some people may say, I have, what do you call those, Rory? The dismemberment packages or...
Accidental death.
Yeah, accidental death, and they don't have the right thing. So it's always good to make them go and do their homework. Mrs. Client, why don't you go find out what you have, and when we get together, let me know. Right? Because you want to give them some homework to do also too. Next slide. We also teach you on the wealth flow formula. And this is very simple, Mrs. Client. It basically just, it basically says that as we're younger, we're generally less secure. Right? In the early years of our stage, we got married, we have kids, we have a mortgage. We have high debt. We're not really that secure. So it's just showing us how we can help a family that's less secure. And basically, as we get older, we should have more wealth and less responsibilities on this curve. But the problem is that most people are stuck in the middle of this curve. So we just educate them on whether they should have a term life insurance or a whole permanent life insurance, what makes sense for the client. We just give them different ways of how to protect their assets through the wealth flow formula. It's very simple. You don't have to go too much into it, read all of it in there. It's just to show them that there's an earlier stage of life and there's an older stage of life. And at those two different stages, we should have coverage no matter what, either way it goes. They should have protection either way it goes. By this time, you're at the end of the presentation, guys, you should kind of already know a lot about this person. You've asked so many questions. If you're doing it right, they were sharing extra information and volunteer information with you. So it's making your job so much easier because they opened up, they're like talking and they're laughing, whatever. But we're winding down to the very end, right? So I'm going to get to these slides, and just, we have some A-list companies that we work with. You don't have to mention, you don't have to call out these. Don't sit here and go Nationwide, F&G, Athene, AIG. No. Just say we have A-list companies, A-list rated companies that we work with. That's it. A-list rated companies that we work with. Keep it very, very simple and bland, and move on. Okay. I want you guys to pay very close attention to what I'm about to do. Because if you went through this slide with me and you carried it through and you nailed it, you warmed them up, this is the finale. So write this down. This is the finale. This is where all your hard work Everything that you put into the presentation, this is how you should close it and seal the deal. Okay? You need to learn how to get good at closing. We mentioned earlier, there's an opening, there's a body, and there's a close. I opened up with the forming. I opened up about the money being a problem in America, different things about money. I bodied them in with different things, going back and forth, right? There was a body, the meat of my presentation. The closing is me to bring it all home. I got to bring it home, guys. So here's how we bring it home. Mrs. Client, here are 4 things that I would say everyone needs. If you don't have these 4 things, you don't have anything. In today's society, you got to have growth. You got to have safety. You should have living benefit. And you should have tax advantages. Okay? Now, what I mean when I say growth, right? So let me ask you a question, Mrs. Client. Would you rather put your money in the bank and get less than 1%, or would you rather put it somewhere where you can get up to 15 or 13% compounding interest? They're going to go, well, I want to get 13% or whatever interest. Okay, great. So we show you how to have growth. We show you how to have safety. It means zero loss. You don't lose a dime. When I said living benefit, having the adult care you need, if you were to get sick or had a medical issue, you can have coverage for that. And then being able to have tax advantage. What I mean, tax-free. Like having tax-free withdrawals, tax-free loans, a tax-free death benefit. I like to call this a life plan. I'm sticking it to them now. I like to call this a life plan. Everyone needs this plan. Everyone needs it. So here again, Mrs. Client, if you don't have these 4 things, you don't have anything. In today's society, you got to have growth, you got to have safety, you got to have living benefit, and you got to have tax advantages. And I recap, what do I mean by growth? What do I mean by safety or living benefit or tax advantage? Recap really quickly. The bottom line is that I want her thinking now, man, I don't want to put my money in the bank and get less than 1%. I want to put it somewhere to get a higher percent interest. I need living benefit. I need tax-free advantages. That's when you got them thinking that. Now, here's the next rule. Here again, would you rather put your money in the bank and get less than 1%, or put your money where you can get up to 13% compounding interest? They're going to say, of course, 13% compounding interest. Okay, well, if you can get this if you qualify, tell them. Now, I put it on the screen specifically to make this a very easy, friendly using training.
What is this?
Well, you can get this if you qualify, Jonathan. Well, I can. What do you mean if I qualify? They're curious now. Well, you can't have any recent felonies or, a misdemeanors on your record. You got to have good health. Oh, okay, I have good health. So you kind of setting yourself up and find out if they're going to qualify for this. Now, the $1 million question. Here is a $1 million question, guys. Let me ask you a question, Ivy. How much can you save, or how much do you save on average per month?
Right now, probably about $700.
Okay, good. So how about I'll show you how to rediversify some of what you're saving, and if you qualify, see if we can get you into a plan like this. How's that sound?
I'm ready. Show me. It sounds like a plan.
Okay, great. So, Ivy, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back and put together some strategies for you that I'm sure you're going to love. And let's get together, let's say in a few days, next 24, 48 hours, so I can get with you and show you what I put together for you. How's that sound?
I'll be available tomorrow.
Okay, great. The $1 million question, guys. How much can you save, or how much do you save on average per month? You got to know how to close this thing, guys. The closing is the most important part. And every single person needs to know how to do this close. Every single person should know how to do this close. It's not that difficult. You're asking a question. The whole reason we do the new rules of money is not just to educate the client. I mean, yeah, I want to educate them, but I want to find out how much they can save. My goal is to provide a solution for this client. So I gotta find out how much can they save. Is it $300, $1,000, $10,000? That is a magic number for me. So I write that down. She can save $700. And I ask her, hey, how about I show you how to rediversify some of what you're saving? Not, well, let me see if I can get you approved for this plan. I'm gonna go back and put together some quotes for you. No. Don't say quotes or whatever. You keep it very general.
We're gonna get the dishes, man.
Because you don't want to make it seem like you're anxious to give them something. Hey, you know what? How about, if I can show you how to rediversify some of what you're saving? Because keep in mind, if she's saving $700, I can't take the whole $700 and put in the plan.
I'll do it.
That defeats her purpose of saving. I'm taking all her hard-earned money she saved per month, and it won't make sense for her. So I say some of what you're saving. Right? So this is where you guys want to nail it and stick it to them. Okay? So
it's awesome.
Now, when it comes down to the second appointment,
soon.
Don't forget, you get back on a Zoom call with them and you form again. Recap. Hey, how's the kids? How's the wife? How's the whatever? All right? Now, let me ask you a question, Ivy. Is there anything that you may want to discuss or ask before going forward? Is there anything that you may want to discuss or ask before going forward? And she may say, oh, yeah, I had a question about this, about that. And you get all the questions answered. Because on your second time, when you get ready to meet with them, your plan is to close them. Write this down. Appointment number 1 is to do the new rules of money. Day number 2 is close. Day number 1, new rules of money. Day number 2, close. So you get all the questions out the way first. Is there anything that you may want to discuss before going forward? Or ask me. They ask you some question, you answer the question. Okay, Mrs. Klein, now, let me see how much you remember. Because my whole job is to come back and now make it more like a quick little class session. Let me see how much you remember. How about you share with me what you learned on these 4 slides, on these 4 squares? Right? So I may go back to here. On my second appointment, I go right here. Recap with me. What do you remember? And they're going to tell you, I remember this, I remember that. Oh, great, that's wonderful. Oh, you were really paying attention. Man, you did good. Man, you praised them for doing that. So you recap. And then let's take a look at what I put together for you. All right? This is where you take out, you go into your illustration with your trainer, whoever, and you show them what you put together for them. Okay, guys? So here again, day number 1, I do new rules. I form new rules of money. Get intel. Do the mental F&A. Write it down. Day number 2, come back, recap the 4 squares for the IUL. Let them find out how much they retain and recall what they retained and learn. And I go into my close. It shouldn't take you 3 or 4 days or 5 appointments to close a client if you do it right. Now, when you finish closing a client today, you can always set up another Zoom call or another one-on-one Zoom call with someone, and then you can say, hey, now let's go through your F&A. And now let's go through the finance suite we're going to do. Or now let's go ahead and go through this. You have all the time you need to finish up what you need to get out of the client. Does that make sense? Because you can only focus on 2 things at one time. Not 3 or 4 things in one session. You don't want to kill the client. Oh my God, I got all this to do. They have no idea where to start first. So you start with something very simple. You keep it simple. All right? So that is my session on the form.
Whoa!
And the rules of money. Okay?
Whoa, let's give her a big round of applause.
Outstanding.
Thank you.
Excellent job.
Thank
you. Good job.
Good job, Andrea. Good job,
Andrea. All right.
Great job. Okay, you guys, listen to this really closely. Listen to this really closely. Be anxious for nothing. The reason we tell you guys don't talk more than 2 things at one time, and you want to take that mental F&A, asking the right questions like Andrea was telling you guys. And the bottom line is you want to give people enough time. So therefore, when you close, you close. Now it's time to make sure that you go through every detail, and people are going to really, really thank you for that, because they know not only did you close them on that solution, you even take it even further. Now, if you're not including their family, their friends, to be able to give this information to them, you're not doing it right. So the bottom line, when Andrea was telling you guys, when you got a warm market and a cold market, when you're doing it right, your business compounds. So you can do it right and just keep on just helping people. But I hope you guys got a lot out of this particular training, because we really want you guys to know that, listen, you got to know how to close. And let me tell you guys something. The system is closing them. The system is closing them. You just got to follow the steps. So take yourself out of it, submit to the system, do it right the first time. That's the only way to do it right. Write that down. The only way to do it right in our business is do it right the first time. It's the only way to do it right. And there's nothing to be scared about. Who don't want growth? Who don't want tax advantage? Who don't want safety? Everybody wants this. So you got all the confidence in the world to close somebody, and do it scared. If you shaking, you still can close with this. So that's what it's all about. So hey, you guys, we know that the time is running near, and we're going to go and open up any quick questions you guys may want to ask Andrea, and then we're going to go ahead and give you guys your homework, and we're going to get ready to for the next training. So let's just give out, if you guys got a lot out of it, give Andrea and myself a round of applause. Give yourself a round of applause.
I have a question.
Tina, go right ahead.
That's Karen.
Okay, good. Andrea, do you only do the new rules of money with one person at a time? You don't do it in a group setting?
You can do it in a group setting. See, like, I know you guys are going to bigger groups you're doing. So if you're doing it in a group setting, the whole objective is that you want to have some type of way to gather their information, like you guys in the group event the other day, and you have the survey cards. That's good to have, because you want to, you can kill 20 birds with a stone. However, be mindful if you're doing, like, when I say group, I mean like a 10 or more in a presentation setting. Mm-hmm. But if you're doing a new rules of money with like 3 people to 4 or 5 people, you kind of limit the opportunity to have that one-on-one interaction, because you can't interact with 5 people at one time. Right. So it's always better that if you're going to do a group, make it, if it's 10 or more, one person presents, no one talks. No one's going to talk to me. I will be introduced. I will present. I'll give my survey, whatever, and then I collect that and I'm out.
Right. And you guys take a note of this. When you do a group setting, it's for a group. You don't ask personal questions. No one wants to exchange personal information with other people. So when you do a group setting, it's for personal information survey card. One-on-ones, personal information.
Thank you.
Tina?
When you're on the second appointment and you've gone through everything and they're ready to go, you're doing the intake sheet and you start the application process at that time, or is that another appointment?
Well, it depends. So most of the time, everyone's different. When you close on that second appointment and that client's ready to go, you need to get the application. All right. You got to nail it, guys. You can't say, I'm going to send you an intake sheet. No. If they're on that Zoom call, you better get that application before you get off the Zoom call. So what we have is like a quick little one-page intake sheet that we've given everyone to make it kind of simple for you. And everyone should know, if you don't know, give us one on this team. Just some basic questions you can be asked about their health, right? To keep it simple, right? Because we don't have the whole application to read to the client. But to keep it simple and to keep it quick and easy, hey, get the application on the Zoom call. Yeah, get it. Not get close. You haven't really closed the client if you don't have an application.
Yeah, and let me interject, because I don't want you guys to miss this. When we say close, we're talking about getting one thing done at a time. You're closing one thing at a time. But once you make that first close, there's several other things that you're going to actually have to do. Keep that in mind. But get this in your DNA. Let's get the application started. Say that to yourself now. Let's get the application started.
Let's get the application started.
Are you ready to move forward?
Are you ready to move forward?
Yes.
Get that in your DNA.
And we have to assume.
If you want to get really bored, get really bold, let's move forward.
Let's move forward.
Yep.
Let's move forward.
Right.
Let's move forward. Let's get the application going.
And we're assuming that they're ready to move forward.
Why wouldn't
From
they
the
want to
jump.
move forward?
Right.
Because like Andrea said, the moving forward is predicated off of those 4 things. Does everybody want? Listen, people want to get more interest in the bank, don't they?
Yep.
Who wants 0 loss? Everybody wants that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who wants living benefits, getting paid while you're still alive? Who wants a tax-free strategy? It's all there. So let's move forward. Let's get it going right away. Get the application going.
Roy, if I may add, I even share my screen. I'll let them know, hey, I'll pull it up. We can do the application. I can share my screen. You can give me your information. And
I like that. Get bold. I love it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can do it at the gas station. It doesn't matter to me. If you got a mobile phone, let's get the application going, right?
I have done the application everywhere. In the movie theater, in the gas station, in the car, and Macy's, in the bathroom.
I did it in the airport.
I've done it everywhere, guys. Get the application.
I gotta have that link.
Okay. But the bottom line, you guys, listen, you may want to write this down. You got to get bold. You got to get bold. Talk louder. Walk faster. Get bold. It's nothing wrong with saying, let's get the application going. Because I'm going to tell you guys something. When you start half-stepping, they start half-stepping. They looking at you wondering what you're going to say. Seems like this person kind of scared to present what they just told me. Come back next week, I'm going to show you how the transmission works. Oh, come back the following week, I'm going to show you how to use the windshield wipers. Oh, come back the next week, I'm going to show you how to open up the glove compartment. No! Let's get the process going right now. And now, guess what? It's called process. So now I got you, I did that. Now we get your final expense. If you got a retirement plan, I'm going to show you how to roll over. I'm going to do all of that. So once you get into the wood, turn into a termite. Just start eating.
All right, Jonathan. You had a question?
Great presentation. I miss what you were saying. You were on the tax slide and you said we show people how to move from the tax now to the tax free. Then you said tax never. Then you said a question, but I forgot while I was writing it down. What did you say?
I did ask them, where do you think that most people keep their money? Which bucket?
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Dion?
On the 6 steps to financial security, what's the difference between managing expenses and eliminating debt or consolidating debt?
Managing your expenses means you kind of like budget yourself. Like you take everything, you write it down, and you manage them accordingly. You pay them off for a certain time of the month. You know what your APRs are. You know how much you're putting into a month. Consolidating your debt means I take all my bills and I go and find a company that I can put them all combined together, and then I pay one monthly payment for everything that got consolidated.
Right. And then also too, Dion, you guys may want to write this down. There's good debt and there's bad debt. Good debt if I'm paying for my children's education or my mortgage. Bad debt, credit cards, wasteful spending.
Thanks.
All right. Rod? Yeah, Rod has a question.
Yes. Before we hop off, can you speak a little bit to how you present the illustration? Because I know we're not going through the entire thing, and I've gotten hung up on that a time or two.
Well, that's coming on the next training.
Got you. All right, perfect. Okay. I don't want to jump the gun, but excited. No, great training tonight.
Awesome.
But just keep in mind when the 4 boxes are presented, and when you're asking people, hey, why don't I show you how to readjust some of your savings? And you get all that intel, and you come back with that illustration, it's already done. Let's write the application. Let's go.
All right, August.
August is on like 3 screens. I think I'm seeing them on different screens.
Can you see me now?
We can hear you. We can see you.
Okay. So my question was, in the Aqua website, is the presentation available that has the 4 boxes at the end of the new rules of money?
Yep, it's there.
Okay.
Yep. And it's also in the back in the HGI training materials folder. If you got most everyone on here you're in the back office of Google Drive for the HGI training materials. It's in there too.
Well, Andre, didn't you send it to them if they signed up for the class? You sent them the BOP and the new rules of money.
Yeah. We have it in a lot of different places. If you don't have it, let us know. We'll get it to you. All right, Tyrell.
How is Tina and them doing group? I would love to do group ones in a room. How are you?
Carol. Well, hey, you know what? When you do group presentation, that means you're collapsing time frame and you're more bolder. You're finding church organizations, clubs. This could be anyone though. I think Carol and Tyrell have the 100 Men of Atlanta coming up. You just go out there and you target people who have groups and you let them know, hey, I'm a financial educator. My firm does this. I would love to come and do a quick financial presentation for your organization.
Yeah, like Terrell, I just recently did a group presentation for a college rather, and we got about 175 survey cards just in one setting.
Yeah, I gotta get some of that.
All right, okay, we'll work on that so you guys know how to do the groups. That's how me and Roy built our business. I was just talking to Stephanie the other day, and I said, hey, listen, when we started doing group presentation, I scale my group presentation on how much money I make per group. If I had a share list and I had 45 names on the share list, that group made me $75,000. We were scaling our business on groups.
Yeah, I'm trying to think about how to market to a group. How am I going to reach those groups?
Yeah.
I'm going to have these groups.
We're gonna talk about that. That's coming up. We'll get with you on that.
Okay. All right, you guys. Hey, listen. Homework time. We got to wrap it up.
All right. Yeah. Okay.
Just real quick. You talked about an intake form. Is that something that's on the website?
That's on my team Aqua as well. Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Go to resources, go to presentation, and you'll see, along with the BOP and the new rules of money, our client intake form. It's a 1-pager.
Okay.
Sweetheart, you know it's good when they don't want to get off, but go right ahead.
I love it. Okay, pay very close attention, guys, for your homework. And I need you to pay close attention. You need to listen to me right now. Your homework is number 1. We're gonna pair you up with someone, and you're gonna get paired with a teammate on this training. You're gonna tag team with another teammate and present the BOP to each other before the next session. You're gonna submit a summary of your results and your evaluation on each other. Okay? So let's say Tyrell pairs up with James, and they BOP each other. You each BOP each other, and you present what your evaluation is to us on that person. How they did, what they can get better at. Number 2, you're also gonna tag team with the same person, and you're gonna present new rules of money. So what's gonna happen is when you present the BOP, when you present new rules of money, you each have to evaluate each other. And you're gonna submit that summary report over to us by next Thursday, 5 p.m. Pacific. That means that between today and next Thursday, you and your partner will have had to have a Zoom call where you do the BOP and new rules of money.
And when you're breaking down the summary, we don't want no 12-page thesis. Critique and keep it simple.
So screenshot this really quickly. We're gonna email it out to you guys, and let's go ahead and pair you guys. So you need to pay very close attention and write these names down on who's gonna get paired with who. All right, so Carol, you're gonna get paired with Keon.
Oh Lord, you're in trouble.
Deborah, you're gonna get paired with Dion. Ivy, you're gonna get paired with Jonathan.
Oh, you're in trouble.
Kelsey, you're gonna get paired with Rebecca.
Oh, you're really in trouble.
Gregory, you're gonna get paired with Sherika. Gregory and Sherika.
A great choice.
Herlinda, you're gonna get paired with James.
A great choice.
Charlene, you're gonna get paired with Magdalene.
Watch out.
Rashida, you're gonna get paired with Stephanie.
Great choice.
David, you're gonna get paired with Robert.
Watch out for David. No, Robert. Oh, that Robert? Okay, go ahead.
August, you're gonna get paired with Lorraine.
Lorraine. Great.
Rose, is Rose on?
Yes, she's there.
Okay, Rose, you're gonna get paired with Tyree. Teresa, you're gonna get paired. Teresa, you're gonna get paired with LaShawn. So Teresa Clayton specifically. I know the other Teresa, I don't know if her husband's on, but Teresa Clayton, you're gonna get paired with LaShawn. All right. JT, John, you're gonna get paired with Tina.
Oh, watch out for her, JT.
Tina. All right. Who else left? And then Tammy, you're gonna get paired with Tyrell.
All right.
Tammy
Let's
and
do it.
Tyrell. Vonnie, you're gonna get paired with Zach. Zach, you still on?
Yeah.
There he is.
He's there.
All right. So who did we not pair anybody with?
Rod.
And who else? Was that it?
James.
No, we paired James. So everyone got paired?
Bonnie,
Yeah, Vonnie.
Anybody did not get paired?
I think that was everybody. Yeah, that's on the
Did you
meeting.
pair? You already paired August?
So what we'll do is we will
Did
pair.
you get August?
Yes,
Yeah,
I got
cut
it.
off. Yeah.
You got Rod and Bonnie that are.
Yeah. So I got.
Yeah.
What about Rashida?
Yeah, everyone got. Yeah. If you did not